Sketch the following showing relevant points. Now, the first thing I'll do here is when x equals 0, right, y is going to equal 0 minus 1 squared minus 1. So that's equal to 1 minus 1 is equal to 0. So that gives us the point 0, 0. This is on the graph. This is called the y-intercept. This is where it crosses the y-axis. When x is 0, it's also going to be a root, as we'll see later. So a root is when y equals 0, right? So what we're going to do now, relevant points. Well, I'm going to square out this bracket. So y equals x minus 1 times x minus 1 minus 1. So draw a little line there. I get x times the second bracket, and then minus 1 times the second bracket, and we have our minus 1. So x times x is x squared, x by minus 1 is minus x, minus 1 by x, minus x again, and minus 1 by minus 1 gives us plus 1, and we still have our minus 1. So they cancel out, and we're left with x squared minus 2x. Now we can differentiate dy dx equals 2x minus 2. And we set this is our slope function, right? The dy dx is our slope function. So that tells us the slope anywhere. If we put in an x, it'll tell us the slope at that particular point on the graph. So we set this to 0 to solve it, to figure out where the slope is 0. So 2x equals 2, x equals 2 over 2, x equals 1. So when x equals 1, this is where our turning point is going to be, right? So we put that back into our original into our original equation. Y equals x squared minus 2x, right? So when x equals 1, y equals 1 squared minus 2 times 1. And that's going to be 1 minus 2. That gives us minus 1 for the y value. So 1 comma minus 1, that's our turning point. Right, and because we know that there's a 1 here in front of the x squared and it's positive, right, that's positive, that's going to give us this type of one-turn graph, right? Happy face. So this turning point, we know, is actually the local minimum point. So now we know the y-intercept and we know the local minimum point. So now we can go looking for the roots. So y equals x squared minus 2x. We set that equal to 0 and we solve it. So factor out x and you have x minus 2 equals 0. And now either x equals 0 or x minus 2 equals 0. So solving the second one there, x equals 2. So when x equals 0 and x equals 2, these are the x values of our roots. So for roots, the y value is always going to be 0. The roots are the points where we cross our x-axis. So there's going to be 0, comma 0 and 2, comma 0. And these are the roots. So now we have the two roots, the minimum point, and we have the y-intercept. So we can sketch x and y. 0, comma 0 is here. See, it's a root and it's the y-intercept. 2, comma 0 will be here. That's 1, that's 2, 3, etc. And our minimum point is 1 minus 1. That'll be here. So now we just have to join the dots. Right? And there's your sketch, your graph. And you can check it on Desmos if you want to draw it out, the original function, to see how you are.